All right, this is Obaid on behalf of V Electronics Canada, and in this video we'll be filling in our T2125. Okay, so for those of you who don't know what a T2125 is, this is a form that you fill in as part of your tax return. Okay, so when you file your tax return, either using a software or via paper, okay, you will need to use your T2125 to declare your business income and expenses. Okay, so your T2125 goes hand in hand with your T1 General and all the other T stubs, such as your T4, T4A, T3, T5, so on and so forth. Okay, so T2125 is used for reporting income. It's also used to show capital gains and losses. Okay, so if you did sell a property, a capital property, okay, as part of your business, you will need to report a capital gain on your T2125. Okay, apart from that, it will also record your CCA, your capital cost allowance. So that will be your depreciation expense for your capital property. Okay, in addition to your depreciation expense, it also keeps track of your vehicle expenses. Okay, your business use of home expenses, your interest on loans, bank fees, and credit card charges. Okay, so let's go ahead and fill in this form, starting with the first section, which is part one, or identification. Okay, so part one, or identification, you will need to type in your name and make sure this name matches your government photo ID. Okay, so if you do have a middle name, you will need to type in a middle name as well. Okay, so let's say this is XYZ, YZZ for this example's sake. Okay, apart from that, you will also need to type in your social insurance number. Okay, so your social insurance number will be the number that shows up on your SIN card. Okay, so this will be a 9-digit number that shows up on your SIM card. Okay, let's say this is 537-629-39 and whatever the last digit is for privacy reason. Okay, apart from that, you will need to type in your business name. Okay, so your business name will be the name that shows up on your master business license. Okay, so if your business is V Electronics, for example, Canada, on your master business license, you will need to type in that name. Okay, so again, this is your driver's license. Make sure your first, middle, and last name is exactly the same as your form. Okay, your social insurance number. Make sure your SIN number is correct, as well as your business name. Okay, so when it comes to your business name, make sure your business name is correct. Okay, this will show up on your master business license. Okay, so over here, you will type in your business number. Okay, you may also find your business number, okay, on your Service Ontario or One Key account, okay, for your business. Okay, so over here we can see that business number is 81716, okay, 110, so on and so forth. Okay, so 81716, 1110. You'll have two letters, most likely RT. Okay. Okay, and then four more digits. Let's say 0001. Okay, you'll also need to type in your business address. Your business address will show up on your master business license. Okay, let's say this is Hanlon Road, and the city will be Vaughan. Postal code is Ontario. Okay, and postal code. Okay, so province is Ontario. Postal code is for Ontario. And the postal code is L4L, 4V8, for example. All right, so if you're not quite sure what the postal code is for your business address, you may verify it using Google Maps. You may also check your postal code on 411.ca, okay, or your Canada postal code lookup tool. Okay, next is your fiscal period. So for your fiscal period, you may check your Canada Revenue Business account. Okay, and this will be your reporting period for your HST. Okay, so your fiscal period is a period in which your income and businesses okay, your income and expenses for your business are declared. Okay, so let's say this is 2023, okay, month, let's say 01 and date 01, so January 1st, 2023. Okay, next you have 2023, let's say this is for an entire year. Okay, this will be 12/31st, so December 31st. Okay, so when it comes to your reporting period, it's possible you might have a monthly reporting period based on how you pay your GST, HST. Okay, if you pay your HST every month, your reporting period will be for 1 month. Okay, if you pay your HST every 3 months or quarterly, your reporting period will be for 3 months. Okay, if you pay your HST semi-annually, 6 months, and 1 year, 12 months, so on and so forth. Okay, was this your last year of business? Okay, so did you declare bankruptcy? Okay, starting next year. So in this case, you will say no. Okay, main product or service. So when it comes to main product or service, this showed up on your master business license, if you might have noticed earlier. Okay, so let's say this is consumer electronics, sales and service. Okay, next you have your industry code. Okay, so when it comes to industry code, okay, every occupation will have a different industry code. Okay, so if you're a doctor, you will have a different industry code. If you're an accountant, you will have a different industry code. If you're an engineer or courier, you will have a different industry code. Okay, so when it comes to accounting method, this will be either cash or accrual. Okay, so if you record your expenses as they happen, as they are incurred, okay, you will need to use the cash type of accounting method. Okay, unfortunately, this type of accounting method is only used for commission. Okay, so if your business, okay, is okay based on commission, it's based on service. So this is a professional business. Okay, you can use cash. Okay, otherwise, you can use accrual. All right. So okay, so this blank is for commission only. All right. Tax shelter identification number. So we'll leave this one blank as it is. Okay, this is not applicable in our case. Your partnership business number. Okay, this is not applicable either because this is a sole proprietorship. Okay, your percentage of the partnership. Okay, this percentage is not applicable as well. Okay, name and address of the person or firm preparing this form. Okay, so when it comes to preparation, you can have your form filled out by an accountant, by a bookkeeper, okay, a tax preparer, okay, so on and so forth. Okay, however, CRA does give you the option to have your forms filled out via a person who uses your Represent My Client account. Okay, this is an account on your CRA account. Okay, so this is something that a second party or third party rather can use to fill in your tax return for you, to file your tax return for you. Okay, so this will be, okay, somebody with an e-file number. All right, so let's say in this case, because we are filing our own tax return as a business owner, this is not applicable. All right, so moving on to part two. Okay, part two has to do with online income. Okay, so if you did make income online, you will need to declare this income as well as the websites that you use to make this income online. Okay, so if your web pages or websites generate business or professional income, fill in this part of the form. Okay, from how many internet web pages and websites does your business earn income? Okay, if it's zero, okay, it will be zero. Okay, if none, enter zero. Okay, so in this case, let's say we have 5 websites that we use to earn our online income. Let's say this one is ebay.com, okay, shapeways.com, shopify.com, etsy.com, okay. And if you have a blog or a website, okay, where you make money via word ads, you can list that blog or website as well. Okay, so let's say this is techsavvy.com. Okay, so percentage of your total income, let's say 0.2%. Okay, not a significant amount. Okay, so again, this could be anything online. It could be an application, it could be a website, okay, it could be a rental service that you offer online. All right. Okay, so moving on to part 3. Part 3 has to do with income. Okay, so when it comes to income, you'll need to declare your gross sales, commissions, or fees, including GST, HST collected or collectible. Okay, so this is basically your line 101 on your business tax return. Okay, so this is gross sales, commission, or fees plus GST, HST collected on your sale. Okay, so let's say for this example's sake, this will be $2,257.01. Okay. Okay, so for business income, fill in this part only if you have a business income, including all income, both monetary and non-monetary, earned from any of the following. A, sharing economy activities such as ride sharing and accommodation sharing. Your gig economy activities, okay, P2P sales using online platforms, social media influencer activities, so on and so forth. Okay, so your sales include all sales, whether you received or will receive money, services, or other goods that have bartering or monetary value, such as credit units. Okay, bartering is when two people agree to exchange goods or services without using money. Okay, so for amount 3A, enter gross sales, commission, or fees, including GST, HST collected or collectible. This is also your line 101 if your fiscal period is 1 year. Okay, so next you have your GST, HST. Okay, provincial sales tax, returns, allowances, discounts, and GST, HST adjustments included in amount 3A. All right, so we'll leave this one. Okay. Okay, this will be your input tax credits, your ITC. Okay, so adjustments have to do with your ITC. Again, this is the total that you pay when you buy your inventory, for example. Okay, so any money you spend for your business, okay, you will pay HST, okay, to buy inventory, for example, and you will need to declare that HST because you can claim that HST as your ITC. Okay, so let's say this is $1,527.41. Okay. Now, if you're using the quick method for GST HST, your government assistance is calculated as follows. Okay, your GST HST collected or collectible on sales using the quick method. All right. Now, if you do use the quick method, okay, you may use the formula for your remittance or your remittance calculator to figure this one out. Okay, so when it comes to total collected, let's say you collected $293.41, okay, as part of your sales. Okay, and total remitted. So this will be based on your formula, okay, which you may find on your T4002 guide to fill your T2125. All right, so all right. So your line 101, okay, this will be your total from line 101. Let's say this amount is $2,257.01. Okay, and your quick method remittance rate is listed on CRA's website. Okay, so for Ontario, this is 8.80. Okay. Okay, so as you can see over here, GST HST quick method remittance rate. Okay, supplies where HST at 13% applies. This is column 2, 8.8%. Okay, so you'll type in 8.8% down there. Okay, so this will be 8.8, and line 103 or HST remitted will be $198.62. Okay, so this will be 198.62. All right, so apart from that, your subtotal, okay, this will be $94.79, which will get transferred to 3F, box 3F. So $94.79. Okay, and your adjusted gross sales, okay, this will be $824.39. All right, so this will be $824.39. Okay, now, if your business is a sales and service business, you will leave 3B as it is. Okay, 3B is not applicable to your business. Okay, 3B is only applicable to businesses that provide services exclusively, such as an accountant, a doctor, a lawyer, so on and so forth. Okay, Part 3C is what you will need to fill in next. And for Part 3C, your adjusted gross sales or adjusted professional fees will be carried forward from box 3G, which is $824.39. Okay, next you have reserves. Okay, so anytime you make a sale, if you receive payment for that sale over a period of time, such let's say a couple of years, okay, let's say you get paid in installments rather than lump sum payment, rather than a single payment, you will need to declare the income that you earned or received from your sale last year. Okay, so let's say, okay, you made $200 last year, so you'll need to type in $200 in here. Okay, if you made no income last year, if you did not receive anything at all, you leave this one as it is, so 0. Okay, so again, reserve by definition is created when you sell property but do not receive the full proceeds at the time of sale. Okay, instead, the amount of proceeds is spread over a number of years, which allows you to defer reporting these proceeds to the year in which you receive them. Okay, so let's say you have a mortgage, okay, a property that you buy, okay, or sell as a seller. If you sell a property and if the buyer makes a payment when you sell the property and when the agreement is signed, okay, you will declare both of those payments from last year on your T2125. Okay, so these are installment payments. They're paid in installments. Okay, whereas a lump sum payment would be a single payment. Okay, so other income, if you did earn any other income apart from your business income, you'll need to declare that income in this box over here. So let's say this income over here, this is eBay, okay, and Shopify. All right, so let's say you made $500 in here, so declare 500. Okay, so further down, your subtotal will be $500 as well. Okay, 3O on the other side. Okay, this will be 500. Okay, this amount gets transferred over to 3O. And your line 8299, this will be $1,324.39. Okay, so that's basically part 3C. All right, now you're going to go ahead and transfer this amount from line 8299 into box 3P for part 3D. Okay, your part 3D has to do with cost of goods sold and gross profit. Okay, so for gross profit, you've got $824.39. Okay, your opening inventory, okay, this will be $300. Okay, so opening inventory is $300. Your purchases, and this would be another 200. Okay, 3S, your direct wage, this is $500. Okay, subcontracts, okay, this will be, okay, $50, for example. Okay, and other expenses. Okay, you leave this one blank as it is or zero. All right. So opening inventory, this has to do with raw materials. Okay, so cost of goods sold and gross profit. So to calculate your cost of goods sold, you need to know the following. You need to do the following. Okay, so the value of your inventory at the start of your fiscal period. Okay, so this is the value of whatever your inventory is at the start of the year, at the start of the fiscal period. Okay, you will also need to know the value of your inventory at the end of your fiscal period. Okay, as well as the cost of your purchases, net of discounts, for the fiscal period. Okay, so when it comes to opening inventory, you need to value your entire inventory at the fair market value. Okay, so that would be a market price. Okay, you can also value your inventory if your inventory is made up of artistic endeavor. Okay, so artistic, if it's artistic in nature, let's say if it's a painting or anything of that sort. Okay, apart from that, okay, you can also value your inventory if your inventory is made up of gifts of inventory, okay, by an artist. Okay, so if an artist gives you a gift, okay, gives your business a gift, okay, you can declare that as an inventory as well. Again, for more information, you may refer to T4002. All right, so further down, you will type in your total. Okay, again, your direct wage cost. Okay, these are wages that you pay. Okay, subcontracts. Okay, so when you sign up for a third-party service such as Upwork, Freelancer, or any other subcontractor via Kijiji or Craigslist, for example, you will need to type in how much you paid to those guys. Okay, so again, $50 for subcontracts, and your overall will be $1,050. Okay, closing inventory. Let's say you still have $500 worth of goods left in your inventory at the end of the fiscal period. Okay, and cost of goods sold, this will be $550. Okay, so you will transfer this amount in this box over here, and your overall total will be $774.39. Okay, so next you have part 4, net income or loss before adjustments. Okay, so advertising, line 8521. Okay. Okay, so again, direct wage, remuneration from indirect wages. Okay, do not include indirect wages. Do not include a salary paid to yourself. Okay, do not include withdrawals you may have made from your business. So this would be your personal expenditure, which goes into your drawings account. All right, subcontracts, enter all the expenses to hire outside help to perform tasks related to goods you sell. Okay, Jobber, freelancer.com, Upwork, Craigslist, so on and so forth. Okay, now for all these expenses, you may also use a software such as QuickBooks, okay, to populate reports so that you can figure out how much the total is for all these expenses, okay, based on transactions. Okay, that will be transactions from your statements. All right, so for 3V, okay, line 8519, it will be $774.39. Okay, your 3V was 1,050. All right, okay. All right, so part 4, net income or loss before adjustments. Okay, starting with advertising. So for advertising, you can deduct expenses for advertising, including advertising in Canadian newspapers and Canadian television, as well as radio station. All right. So you can also include any amount you paid as a finder's fee. Okay, to claim the expenses, you must meet certain Canadian content or Canadian ownership requirements. These requirements do not apply if you advertise on foreign websites. Okay, so to figure this out, you do have the option to use QuickBooks or any other software. And your QuickBooks software will populate a report that will show your advertising expense, your total advertising expense. Okay, so let's say your total advertising expense, in this case, this is zero, so to speak. Okay, and your meals and entertainment. So when it comes to meals and entertainment, okay, will be zero as well. Okay, so nothing for meals and entertainment. We've got bad debts. So your bad debts, this is zero as well. So nil. Okay, your insurance. Okay, your insurance will be $965.54. Okay, so for advertising, you may use your Excel sheet if you record your transactions on your Excel sheet. These are basically your uncollectible accounts. Okay, for meals and entertainment, the maximum amount you can claim for food, beverages, and entertainment expenses is 50%, okay, of the lesser of the following amounts. The amount that you incurred for these expenses, an amount that is reasonable in the circumstances, so on and so forth. Okay, entertainment expenses include tickets and entrance fee to an entertainment event, okay, or a sporting event. Okay, expenses for food and beverages consumed by a long-haul truck driver, okay, during an eligible trip or travel period, are deductible at a certain percentage as well. Okay, so let's say your meals and entertainment, in this case, we declare it as zero. Okay, next you have your uncollectible accounts or bad debts. Okay, so when it comes to bad debts, you can declare your uncollectible accounts or uncollectible account expense on line 8590 or box 4D. Okay, unfortunately, we don't have any uncollectible accounts. Should I say fortunately? Yeah, that's the reason why we'll say zero. Okay, so insurance on the other side, this is not your auto insurance. You'll need to declare auto insurance somewhere else. Okay, so when it comes to insurance, this has to do with commercial insurance premiums that you pay for insurance on capital property like buildings, machinery, and equipment that you use in your business. All right, so when it comes to insurance, okay, your insurance will be $965.54. Okay, next you have your interest and bank charges. Okay, so this is what you paid as part of your bank service fee, for example, or interest charges on a loan, on your credit card fee, so on and so forth, your credit card balance. All right, so let's say your interest and service charges, all in all, they add up to $2,449.46. Okay, business taxes, license, and memberships. Okay, they add up to $165.56. Okay, so when it comes to business taxes, license, and memberships, okay, you're looking for things like your annual license fees, okay, and business taxes that you have to pay to run your business. Okay, your beverage license, your business charges, trade license, okay, um, your annual dues or fees to keep your membership in a trade or commercial association. Okay, it could be UFCW, it could be a bookkeepers association, so on and so forth. Okay, could be a union, could be an association. All right, so, okay, union dues are declared separately, so you want to make sure these are fees that you pay to an association rather than a union. All right, so this will be 165.56. Okay, next you have your office expenses. So for office expenses, you can deduct the cost of office expenses that are not related to your workspace. Could be your pen, pencil, paper clip, stationery, and stamps. Okay, these do not include capital expenditures, okay, like calculators, filing cabinets, chairs, and a desk. These are capital items. Okay, so office expenses. Okay, this will be zero in this case. All right. And then you have your office stationery and supplies. Okay, so when it comes to office stationery and supplies, you can deduct the cost of items the business used to provide goods or services, for example, drugs and medication used by a vet, or cleaning supplies used by a plumber. Okay, these expenses are generally related to the workspace. Okay, so this will be office stationery and supplies. So let's say your office stationery and supplies, this is $17.31. Okay. Next, you have professional fees, legal and accounting fees. So any fee that you might have paid to your lawyer, for example, or even your accountant to prepare your taxes. Okay. Okay. In this case, our legal and accounting fees is nil. Okay. This could be traffic tickets. Okay. Could be your criminal record. Okay. So on and so forth. All right, and once again, you may use your profit and loss detail report on your QuickBooks to figure this one out. This is all based on transactions, okay? And the beauty about QuickBooks, you can also attach a receipt should there be an audit, okay? Which means you can attach an invoice and a receipt for each and every transaction. All right, so moving on to management and admin fees. This is line 8871. Okay, so when it comes to management and admin fees, we're looking at property management, for example. Okay, so standard property management fees, you have initial setup fee as well as monthly management fee, which could be a flat fee or a percentage of your rent. All right, so in this case, we'll declare this one as zero. Okay, as well as management and professional or administration fees. This will be zero as well. Okay. Next, you have rent. So you can deduct rent for property used in your business. Okay, you can deduct rent for land and building where your business is situated or located. Okay. Your business use of home has to be declared somewhere else. It'll be on line 9945, not on this line. Okay. So again, you can find your rent expense under your QuickBook reports. Okay. So this will be zero. Repairs and maintenance. So let's say you bought something from Home Depot or Lowe's to maintain your property, to repair your property for a DIY job, for renovation, so on and so forth. Okay, so you can deduct the cost of labor and materials for any minor repairs or maintenance done to your property you use to earn income. You cannot deduct the value of your own labor. Okay? So again, this has to do with the inventory that you buy for renovation, the materials, the supplies that you buy for renovation. All right. Okay, or maintenance, your plumbing supplies, for example, your roofing supplies. Okay. So in this case, this will be 0.8960 will be zero. Moving on to salaries, wages, and benefits. Okay. So if you did have employees and you paid salaries to your employees, you need to declare those salaries on this line. Okay, line 9060. Okay, so for line 9060, okay, you may also declare cash payments. All right, so if you made cash payments in terms of wages, cash payments are allowed. And this could be for your call center online, this could be for a junk removal business, for example, so on and so forth. Okay, next is your property taxes. So for property taxes, you'll declare your property taxes under line 9180. And line 9180, you'll declare the property taxes you incurred for property used in your business. Okay, so you can deduct property taxes for the land and building where your business is located. All right, so when it comes to property taxes, okay, those taxes will usually show up on your contract for sale. So when you buy a property, for example, if you buy a real estate property or even land, your property taxes will be listed on the contract that you sign. Okay. Okay, in this case, this will be 0, and your property taxes will be 0. All right. Next, you have your travel expenses. So when it comes to travel expenses, okay, you can deduct travel expenses that you incurred to earn business and professional income. So it could be public transportation fares, hotel accommodation and meals. If you run a daycare, you can also deduct on this line the cost of tickets you may have bought for field trips. Okay, so in this case, your travel expenses will be $858.40. $858.40. Okay, next you have utilities. So if you paid money for telephone and utilities like gas, oil, electricity, water, cable, so on and so forth, you may declare your utility bill, okay, in this box, 4Q, okay, or line 9220. Okay, don't deduct the basic monthly rate for your home telephone. Okay, so if you use a property, if you use any part of your property for personal expenditures, for personal expenses rather than your business, okay, you will need to declare those personal expenses somewhere else. Okay, you only declare your business part of your home use on T2125. Okay, so this would be under part 4. This is mostly business part of your home use. Okay, so in here you have your utilities. For this example's sake, we'll declare your utilities as 0. Okay, your fuel expenses, just 4R. Okay, your fuel expenses would be things like money that you might have paid for your generator, okay, for the fuel inside the generator. Say, for example, when you had renovations going on in your basement. Okay, so let's say your fuel expenses, in this case, this will be 0 as well. Delivery, freight, and expenses. So delivery, freight, and express rather. This is for delivery and shipping. So this would be things like materials, supplies, renovation materials. So any money that you might have paid for delivery, freight, and express. Okay? So in this case, in this example, this will be 0. Okay? Next you have 4T. This is your motor vehicle expenses not including CCA. Okay, and you can find this amount in box 16 of chart A. Okay, so we'll scroll down. We'll scroll further down to chart A, and you're looking at box 16. Okay, so when it comes to chart A, this is your chart A, motor vehicle expenses. You're looking for box 16. Okay. So motor vehicle expenses not including CCA, you can deduct expenses you incurred to run a vehicle you use to earn business or fishing income. Okay? So if you use your vehicle occasionally for business purposes, you can claim motor vehicle expenses on a pre-trip basis. Okay? If you use your vehicle regularly, you can claim part of your total operating expenses as a business expense. All right? So let's say when you check your odometer, and again, you need to make sure that you have a logbook. If you're a trucker, for example, or if you drive your vehicle for business, make sure you have a logbook, and this logbook will have your date, your destination, purpose, and number of kilometers that you drove for each trip. Okay? So starting with your total kilometers you drove in the fiscal period, you can find this total on your odometer. Okay, so let's say this is 10,000, so to speak. Okay, so let's say this is 10,000. And out of this 10,000, you drove 8,000 for business. Okay, so this number will show up on your logbook. Okay, so when you calculate your total mileage for your logbook, it will tell you how much you used for business. Okay, so let's say this is 8,000 in this case, your fuel and oil. This would be your gas and any oil changes that you might have done for your vehicle, for your commercial vehicle. So let's say this is 880.56. And again, you can use QuickBooks, okay, to figure out your fuel expenses. Okay, so these are all your fuel expenses. Okay. You can also use this report. You can also use some of the other reports that QuickBooks offers to figure out your HST. Okay, this is the same HST that you declare on your business return, as well as your income tax return on your T2125. So total gas expenditure, let's say this is $22,917.95 for a couple of years. Okay, so in this case, this fiscal period is 1 year. So we'll type in the figure that we have for 1 year. Okay, so let's say in this case, this figure is $880.56. Okay, now for your interest expenses, you can use Chart B. This has to do with leasing, and we'll use Chart B after we're done Chart A. Okay, so insurance, we'll come back to this part over here. Okay, let's say your insurance. So when it comes to insurance, okay, this would be your auto insurance. Again, you can find your auto insurance expenses on your report as well. Okay, as you may notice, under your profit and loss detail report, you have auto insurance. Okay, so your auto insurance will be a total of $1,101.73. Okay, this will be your auto insurance. Okay, your license and registration fees will be nil. Okay, your maintenance and repairs will be $30. Okay, so $30. Okay, so this has to do with money that you paid to your mechanic, for example, or money that you paid to fix your car, let's say a DIY job to change your tires, okay, for a battery booster cable, so on and so forth. Okay, from Canadian Tire or any other source. Okay, so let's say this is 30 bucks. Okay, leasing, use chart C below, so we'll use chart C. We'll come back to this part as well. Electricity for zero emission vehicles. So if you drove an electric vehicle such as a Tesla, you will need to type in a total that you paid at the charging pumps. Okay, so let's say, okay, in this case, we'll leave it as 0. All right, so this will be 0. Okay, other expenses. Okay. Okay, so you can see over here, okay, the total that you paid for your charging pump. Okay, this will show up on your statement, the total that you paid at the charging pump, rather. Okay, this will show up on your statement, on your bank statement, on your credit card statement, depending on what you use to make this payment. All right, so next you have other expenses. So any other expenses that you incurred for your business, that you paid for your business. And again, this will show up on the profit and loss detail report. Okay, so these expenses will show up in there as well. Okay, so let's say this will be, okay, 0 in this case, not declaring any other expenses. All right, so your total motor vehicle expenses, again, we have to go back to chart B to figure out our interest. Okay, and this is available interest expense for passenger vehicles and zero emission passenger vehicles. Okay, now for this interest, okay, your total interest payable for a vehicle, let's say this is $1,000. Okay, and total number of days in the fiscal period for which the interest was payable. Okay, let's say this is 60 days. All right. Okay, so this will be a total of 60 times 10, say for example. Okay, so this will be $600. And your available interest expense, amount 17 or 18, whichever is less. So that will be $600. Okay, so we'll type in $600, okay, for interest expense over here. So this will be $600 for box 4. Okay, and we'll move on to box, or chart C rather, or box 8. Okay, so when it comes to chart C, these are eligible leasing costs for passenger vehicles. Okay, so when it comes to passenger vehicles, okay, you can fill in chart C to figure out your leasing expenses. Okay, so this will be box 20. Let's say in this case your box 20 is $1,000. Okay, so total lease incurred, total lease charges incurred for the vehicle, this will be $1,000 for box 20. Okay, total lease payments deducted before your current fiscal period for the vehicle. This is box 21. So let's say this is $100. Okay, so this is, let's say, from last fiscal period, whatever amount you might have paid for your lease. Okay, if you did get a discount, it's possible you ended up paying less. In this case, we ended up paying $100. Okay, total number of days the vehicle was leased in your current and previous fiscal periods. So this will be a total of 1,096. $1,096, and your manufacturer's list price. So when it comes to list price, you're looking at a total of $8,000 altogether. Okay. All right. So if it's a used vehicle, it will be a little less than the price of a new vehicle. All right. Now, apart from that, okay, you will also need to declare, okay, this box over here. And for this box, we'll need to use note 9. Okay, so note 9 for lease entered into or in 2022, it's amount 23 or 40,000 plus HST, whichever is more. Okay. For leases entered into or before 2022, it's amount 23 or 35,294 plus HST. All right, so if you do some math on the side, okay, 35,000, let's say this lease started before 2022, $35,294, times this by HST, which is about 13%. Okay, so that comes up as $39,882. Okay, so this is what you will type over here, $39,882, and this will be 22 cents. All right, now apart from that, okay, when you multiply it by 85%, so let's say this will be Okay, $33,899.89. Okay, your next line over here, you will need to use note 10. So for note 10, for leases entered before 2022, amount 25 is equal to 800 plus HST multiplied by amount 22 divided by 30. So again, if you do some math on the side, this is 800 times 1.13, 13% for Ontario. Okay, multiplied by amount 22, so you're looking at total number of days in the lease, 1,096. All right, divide by 30, so altogether you're looking at 33,026 for your total. Okay, so this will be $33,026.13. Okay, amount 25. Okay, this will be $33,026.13. So you will take this figure over here, copy paste, amount 21. This was 100. So copy paste over here, and your total over here, this will be 33,026 minus 100. So this will be $32,926. Okay, so $32,926.13. Okay. Okay, next you have note 11 for this line. So note 11 says for leases entered into before 2022, into or before 2022, amount 27 is equal to 30,000 plus HST multiplied by amount 20 divided by amount 24. Okay, so over here you have $30,000 times this by 1.13, okay, which is roughly 33,900. Okay, multiplied by amount 20 and divided by amount 24. Okay, so your amount 20, and here is $1,000. Okay, divide by amount 24, and your 24 is 33,899. $89. That's a total of 1,000. Okay, so that total is $1,000. So you will type in $1,000 for box 27. Eligible leasing cost. This will be amount 26 or 27, whichever is less. 26 is over 32. 27 is 1,000, so this will be 1,000. Okay, so this is basically how you figure out your eligible leasing cost for chart C. We'll transfer this amount over here to chart A, which is $1,000. Okay, this will be box A. Okay, so $1,000 for leasing. Okay, and next we move on to, okay, your business part. Okay, before we move on to business part, okay, this will be a total of 3,612 for your total motor vehicle expenses and 29 cents. Okay, which means further down, okay, this will be amount 1, which is 8,000. Okay, total that you drove to earn business divided by total kilometers that you drove, which covers your personal use as well. Let's say this is 10,000. Okay, you find that amount, times it by amount 12, which is 3,612, your total expenses. We're trying to figure out your business use of the vehicle. Okay, so this will be 36,1229. So your business expense, your business vehicle expense is, let's do the math over here, 8,000 divided by 10 times 36, 29. This will be a total of $2,889.83. Okay, so $889.83. All right, your business parking fees will stay as it is, not declaring any parking fees for us to claim as an expense item. Your supplementary business insurance. So again, if you do have any other insurance policies, such as your business overhead expense policy, your key person disability policy for your employee, okay, or any crisscross insurance that you may have, okay, when it comes to your life insurance coverage, so on and so forth, okay, you will need to declare that insurance figure, your coverage, okay, or your premium rather, whatever you paid for that insurance coverage in box 15, okay? So that's box 15. Moving on to box 16. Okay, this will be a total of $2,889.83. Okay, that will be box 16. Okay, so allowable motor vehicle expenses, $2,889.83. All right, we now move on to Area A. Okay, Area A has to do with capital cost allowance, or CCA. Okay, so when it comes to CCA, you may have a property that you added to your inventory, for example, let's say a capital property such as a motor vehicle, such as a building, okay, or an equipment. You will need to declare your CCA for that equipment, building, or any other capital property that you may have added to your business, okay, in this or last fiscal period. Okay, so basically your CCA has to do with depreciation expense. So anytime you add a capital property to your business, you do have to pay for depreciation expense. Okay, and every year that you use your property, whether you use it or not, okay, in some cases, okay, you will incur a depreciation expense. Okay, so you can claim some of that depreciation expense using all these charts over here on T2125. Okay, and that's the reason for this chart. So Area A, calculation for capital cost allowance, or CCA claim. So in this case, let's say this is 10.1, okay, for a motor vehicle. Okay, so let's say this is 10.1. And when it comes to classes, you may find your class number, okay, on CRA's website. Okay, so you can find your class number on CRA's website. Okay. All right. So you have different classes for different capital items. You can see over here you have class 10, 10.1, so on and so forth. Okay, so you will declare 10.1 if this is a vehicle. Okay, and the UCC, or the undepreciated capital cost at the start of the year, let's say this is $10,000. Okay, now to figure this amount, you can use the market value, okay, of your vehicle. Now you can either use things like your Kelly Blue Book for your vehicle, your VIN app, okay, based on the make, model, and the specs of your vehicle. Okay, you also have some websites such as Carfax that may be able to calculate the market price of your vehicle based on your odometer, based on the specs of your vehicle, the make, model, year, so on and so forth. Okay, now cost of additions. So if you did add a vehicle or a capital property, okay, you will need to add this figure over here. So let's say cost of additions is 10,000. Okay. All right, so this has to do with area B and C. Okay, equipment additions. Okay, so you will need to declare your addition under equipment additions. So let's say this is 10.1, property description. Let's say this is 2008 GMC Acadia. Your total price, let's say this is 10,000. Okay, personal part, if applicable. You use your vehicle for personal use. You type in a figure over here. If not, your business part will be $10,000. Okay, so that amount goes in column 3. All right, and next you have your proceeds. Okay, so cost, next you have proceeds. So when it comes to proceeds, okay, this is proceeds of disposition. Okay, all right, so cost of addition and then proceeds of disposition. So proceeds of disposition, this will be 15,000. Let's say you sold your vehicle for 15,000, and you will need to declare this amount where it says equipment disposition. So let's say this is 10.1. If you're in the business of flipping vehicles, if you sell your cars, this will be equipment disposition in the year 2008. GMC Acadia. Proceeds of disposition. This will be $15,000. Okay, personal part will stay as 0. Business part will be $15,000 as well. All right, and that's about it for this chart. Okay, so you'll transfer that figure in here in column 5. Okay, which means your UCC after addition. Okay, this is column 7. This will be $5,000. Okay, and this is based on the half-year rule. You're not quite sure what the half-year rule is. You may refer to your T4002. Okay, you may check your T4002. All right, now apart from that, okay, all right, okay. So for part 2, okay, under column 11, this has to do with ZEVs, okay, AIIPs, so on and so forth. Okay, so your total CCA claim, okay, this will be, okay, 80%, which is your allowable portion of your motor vehicle CCA. If your CCA was 5,000, say for example, okay, or if your CCA was 15,000 rather, okay, this will be 15,000 times 80%. Okay, if it was $1,500, okay, it will be 80% of $1,500. Okay, so 1,500 times this by 80%, and this will be 1,200. So your $1,200 will be your CCA claim. Okay. All right, so that will be your CCA claim for your vehicle, your motor vehicle CCA. Okay, if you did have anything else that you added to your inventory, to your business, such as an equipment, you will need to add that as well. Okay, so let's say okay, so your CCA rate is 30%, and because your CCA rate is 30%, okay, based on the half of your room, when you got 5,000, you multiply 5,000 by 30%. That's how you get $1,500. Okay, and the allowable portion is 80% for motor vehicles. So you will add $1,200 in this box over here, which is your column 18. Okay, so your CCA claim for the year or total for column 18 will be $1,200. All right, now apart from that, okay, if you had anything else, such as a building or other equipment, you will need to add that equipment or building in here as well. Okay, if not, we'll move on to, okay, another box. All right, so, okay, let's look at area F. This is land additions and dispositions in the year. So area F has to do with land additions and dispositions. So let's say the cost of all land additions in the year, the total cost of the land that you purchased, okay, your real estate property, let's say this is $5,000. And total proceeds from sale, let's say this is 10K. So $10,000. All right, so that will be your area F. Okay, apart from area F, okay, you will need to fill in your part 7. Okay, so let's go ahead, okay, and fill in part 7. Okay, however, before we fill in part 7, we'll need to declare our motor vehicle expenses, okay, under part 4. Okay, so this is line 9281. Okay, amount 16 of chart A and amount 16 of chart A. This is $2,889.83. Okay, so you will type in that figure over here under motor vehicle expenses. Okay, and next you have your CCA for business use of home expense, or line 9936. Okay, so line 9936, this is business use of home, and you can figure out your line 9936 using part 7. Okay, so if you paid for heat for your home, for one of the rooms that you use for business, you will need to type in the total that you paid for your heat. Okay, so let's say in this case, okay, the total that you paid was $100 for heat. Electricity, let's say you paid $200 for electricity for a part of the room that you use for business. Insurance, let's say you paid $400. Maintenance, let's say repairs, renovation, let's say you paid $500. Okay, so your subtotal will be $1,200. Personal use, let's say this is $900. So you're only using one room for business, the other 3 are personal, which means personal use is 900, your business use is 300 out of the 1,200. Okay, so over here, this will be $300 for 7J. Okay, your 7K will be $300. Okay, 7L will be 0, 7M, this will be $600. Okay, and finally your 7O will be $600. Okay, your allowable claim, 7P, this will be 0. Okay, so 7P is 7M or N about, whichever is less. 7N is 0, which means 7P will be 0. Okay, so that is basically your 7P. All right, so this will be 0. And then we move further up. And right where it says line 9936, capital cost allowance. This is enter amount 2 of area A minus any personal part and any CCA for business use of home expense. Okay, so this will be what we calculated earlier, a total of $1,200 for 4U. This is based on area 2 over here, Okay, so number 2, right over here, $1,200. Okay, now apart from that, you will also need to declare, okay, your other business expenses such as your phone expenses. Okay, so on and so forth, if you did have any phone expenses. Okay, unfortunately, we didn't have any phone expenses, so we'll leave this one as 0. Okay, so allowable claim, 0 for business use of home. Okay, next, line 9270, this will be, okay, $6,157.55. Okay, all right. So other phone expenses, okay, this is for part 4, not for part 7. Okay, so part 4 phone expenses will be $6,157. Okay, and 55 cents. Okay, $6,157.55. Okay, your total expenses, or you know what? Let's leave this one blank as well. Okay, let's say we don't have any phone expenses. Okay, so this will be 0. All right, now if you add this up, your line 9368 will be let's say this will be $8,546.10. Okay, so 9368, $8,546.10. Okay, you can also verify this amount. Okay, yeah, so this is correct. Okay, and you will transfer this amount over here. So your line 9369, okay, this will be net income or loss before adjustments, 4A minus line 9368. Okay, so if your 4A was a carry forward from line 8519, a total of $774.39. This will be 774, take away 8,000, which is a negative number. Since it's negative, okay, this will be 774.39 minus 8,546. A total of $7,771. Okay, and 71 cents. All right, so that will be line 9369. Your net income or net loss, in this case, this is a net loss based on expenses. All right, so apart from part 4, okay, you do have part 5 to fill up. So for part 5, okay, box 5A will be the same figure as in line 9369. Let's say this is $7,771, negative $7,771, or a loss of $7,771. Okay. 5B has to do with Canadian journalism labor tax credit. This will be 0 in our case. GST, HST rebate, okay, or line 9974, this will be 0 as well. Okay, which means that this figure will be $7,771 in loss. Okay, we'll get transferred over to 5C. Okay, 5D. All right, your business use of home expenses. Okay, and finally line 9946. Okay, which is your overall net income or loss. Okay, so this is a net loss. All right, so pretty sure we covered much of this T2125. Okay, want to make sure you didn't leave anything. So part 8 is for partnership, doesn't apply in our case. Okay, part 9 over here. Okay, so when it comes to part 9, okay, your total business liabilities, okay, your drawings, and your capital contributions. So this has to do with your equity. Okay, so let's say your total business liabilities, line 9931, okay, okay, so let's say this has to do with what you owe in liabilities. Okay, so this will be, let's say, $1,000. Your drawings, let's say 100, and your capital contributions in the current year. So whatever you added to your capital. Okay, so let's say $200. All right, so that is basically part 9 for you. Okay, now apart from part 9, scroll further down. Make sure you haven't left anything over here. Okay, make sure all the charts are filled out. Okay, chart A, chart B, chart C. Okay, so this is basically how you fill in your T2125. Okay, once you fill in and file your T2125 along with the rest of your return, okay, you will see a tax refund. Hopefully you will see a tax refund rather than a tax owing. Okay, when you net file your return using a software. Okay, so when it comes to T2125, okay, all the credits on T2125, they offset your tax owing, okay, which means if you did have a tax owing prior to you filling out your T2125, now you will have a tax refund. Either that or your tax owing will be reduced. Okay, so when it comes to your tax owing, okay, or your tax refund, let's say your T4 slip looks something like this, with around $30,000 in income, in employment income, okay, as well as relevant EI premiums, CPP contributions, and federal income tax deductions. Okay, your tax refund may go up from $4,595.44 to $7,013.16. That's over $2,400. Okay, so you see a difference of $2,400 just by filling in this one particular form. This is your T2125. All right, so this is basically how you fill in your T2125 to offset your tax owing or to add to your tax refund. On behalf of V Electronics, this is Obey. Have yourself a great day.